What's up? It's Way Up with Angela Yee. I'm Angela Yee, and my Wealth Wednesday partner, Stacey Tisdale, is here.
My favorite day of the week.
Yes.
Happy Wealth Wednesday, everybody. And we are very excited to have, you're going to come to know her by the end of this interview as a childcare chick, but we already know her as one kick-ass entrepreneur, and her story is just incredible. Mm-hmm. We have Latrice Galloway, who has Kidsville Learning Academy. She's the founder and CEO. That's in Texas. And she's also founder of the Daycare Chick platform. It's an educational, I'm sorry, I said Daycare Chick platform. It's a educational and coaching platform. She's grossed nearly $20 million over 16 years. You were born and raised in San Antonio, and you actually set out to be an attorney.
Yes.
We're going to make a move to Houston. Yep. But like many parents, we were just talking about families, you couldn't find a facility that you thought was up to quality and cost for your son. And then you had an aha moment, and 6 months later, you had Kidsville.
Yep, it was born. That's exactly pretty much how it happened. It happened really quick. But I tell people all the time, I was just a mom looking for childcare. This was not something that I thought I would get into. Again, my degrees are in criminal justice and business administration. So I thought I was going to be an attorney. That's where I was headed to law school when we moved. And then it was just no quality centers out there that were affordable. I was looking for affordable and quality. And so the aha moment came. God put it on me and said, do this. Mm-hmm. And a long story short, I did it.
Yeah, we hear a lot of stuff. Like, I know so many people, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to open up a daycare center. But it's not that easy because there's a huge responsibility, and even the business side of it, you have to make sure that runs smoothly. But you're also nurturing young children's minds. Yes. And parents, rightfully so, that is something that is so crucial. Like, where is my child going to daycare? And that's where your idea came about. So can you talk to me about starting your first daycare center?
So once I had the idea and the aha moment, I started looking for a building, and I found this building for lease. So went home, talked to my husband about it, rented the building, turned it into a childcare center. And again, when you say it's not easy, if you don't know, I was the first business owner in my family. I didn't have a mentor, so I just did it on my own. What I thought was going to take me 2 months took me 6 months to get the building up to code and get open. And once I got open and got licensed, the community really needed what I had to offer, and the children just start coming in. But again, like you said, it's a lot of liability. So I always tell people, you have to be ready for the business side. It's a lot of liability. You're managing staff. Parents are leaving you with their most prized possession every single day.
Right.
So it comes a lot of liability with that. But once I got in it and got in the groove and started building that business, and I got it down packed, it's been great.
It grew so fast.
It did.
It grew really, really fast. And you were a new entrepreneur. How did you manage that?
It was very hard because, again, no one I knew owned a business. And then I moved to this new community where I didn't know anyone. And because I brought something that was really needed, it did grow fast. I was able to just do it. I'm a person that's going to get it done by any means necessary. Mm-hmm. So I wound up moving my mom because I needed someone I could trust because the business was growing, the money was coming. So I wound up moving my mom down with me to help me. She didn't know about managing, but I knew I could trust her. So I wound up moving my mom down with me. But it was early mornings, late nights, every single day for years.
I saw you talking about quality over quantity because at first you said it was more about the quantity. You needed bodies there because you have to have a certain amount of people working, right, when you have a certain amount of children. So how did you manage to find the quality people to come work there? Because a lot of times we can't control that. Owning a business and having to manage employees is a really difficult job. But then when you're dealing with children, that makes it 1,000 times more difficult.
So, yes, when we are licensed by the state of Texas, they have ratios. So you have to have so many teachers per child. So like you said at first, I just need the teachers in there because I need to stay in compliance. But that's when things start happening. So I had to start weeding out. No longer do I hire out of desperation. I started knowing what I was looking for, who I was looking for, training them properly, coming up with a training system instead of just throwing them in the classroom and I will let people go immediately.
Right.
I don't keep them around
There's no
anymore.
second, third
You
chance.
can't with kids.
I don't keep them around anymore because I need, that ratio purposes. We'll figure out another way. I'll put my manager in there. It was times I would step in a classroom to let someone go because I'm not going to do that because the liability is so high. And when you don't have, you see it on the news all the time, things happening with child care centers, but it's because of the staff.
Right.
So you have to do your due diligence to make sure you're hiring the right people and don't keep them. If they're not doing what they need to do, let them go. I see so many child care owners just keep people they know are no good for their business because ratios, and it's really hard to hire right now, but trust me, they're out there. I've built this amazing team, and I have people that's been working with me for 16 years, and I've been in business 16 years, and they're still there.
Wow.
It's kids. It's like once you have a babysitter or something that doesn't work out, it's not like you can. They got to go.
They gotta go. They
Yeah.
gotta go,
Right.
and I stick with that because I have seen in 16 years I've been through the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I've seen so much in this industry that, and most of it is staff.
Can we talk about finances for a second? Because how were you able to finance this and then to be able to scale? What type of investments did you get? Did you use out-of-pocket funds?
So my first center, I used out-of-pocket funds because I was leasing a build. And so me and my husband kind of broke the bank. When I told him about it, I was like, if we break the bank and use all of our savings, I'm going to make this work. And so that's what we did. Now, when my lease was up, this is when I knew that I had to leave this building because it was falling apart. My landlord wouldn't, really help me. And I had the idea to build a building, but I was 28 years old. I was like, no one's going to give me this kind of money. Well, I was wrong. So that's where I got with a local bank, a local community bank, and they lent me the money to build this school that I have now, which is over 15,000 square feet that I built from the ground up.
Let's unpack that a little bit. Wait a minute. Let's get back to the money a little bit.
You want to go back? Okay.
Yeah, I want to go back to that a little bit. So, first of all, local community bank, and you were building something that was such a important service to the community. How important is that when people think about borrowing money, particularly Black women? Nobody gives us loans. Nobody gives us venture capital. I think it's like 0.4 tenths of 1% goes to venture capital goes to Black women. But that community bank and community-oriented business, talk about if that played a role in you getting that. It was $2 million.
Yes, I definitely, and this was when I was 28, so this was, I ain't gonna tell my age, but this was a while ago, all right? But I think it played a very important role because when you're dealing with local banks, they know what's going on in the community. They know what's being built, what the next 10 years is gonna look like. And so they saw what I had done. I had everything in order. They saw the paperwork that I had. They saw my numbers. They saw my business structure. And they knew that if they lent me this money, I would be able to impact so many more families and children in the community. And so I think that played a big role in it. People like to go to the bigger banks, but they don't know what's going on in your community. They don't know if you're going to be able to sustain. But because I went to a local bank, they knew what was coming. Neighborhoods were popping up everywhere. And who buys new homes? People with children. They knew all the schools that were being built. They knew there were gonna be a lot of children coming into the community. And so I think that played a very, very big role going to a local bank because they were like, oh yeah, we need this in our community. We're behind it 100%.
And I'm sure they looked at your background too, because even though this wasn't what you initially intended to do, your background actually did help you with being able to create this business.
So I think like I said, by having my paperwork and everything in order, when I sat at the table and they were able to look at it and they looked at me and said, wow, you've done this in 4 years this is not your background. You had no experience and you've built this in 4 years. They knew something. That's when they were like, we're going to get behind this because whatever you're doing it right.
This is great advice for all entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Even outside of this space, particularly looking at that community borrowing aspect. You also, I know a lot of entrepreneurs in all fields pay attention to you, get help from you.
Yes.
Talk about how important it was when you got this loan that you had your paperwork in order and what should entrepreneurs do who are trying to get that investment?
That was the first thing they looked at, to be honest. They didn't care about nothing else. Let's see what you've done.
Right.
Let's see if we want to give you this money. What do you have to prove that you could sustain a loan of $2 million because we need our money back. So having pretty much tax returns in order, had my business structured right, get you a good CPA. I didn't know that the first few years. That can really help you keep your documentations in order, show them your growth. I was able to show them where I started and every single year how my business had just grew and how, I exceeded the numbers that I thought and how I had to get a second building next door to be able to house more children. And so having all that documentation when I went to the table really helped. Literally, when I left the first day, they said, we're gonna give you this money.
Wow.
But it was a few things they needed me to fix.
Yeah,
But they knew that we're gonna do it. But I need you to do X, Y, Z. It was a couple of things I want to fix. Another important thing is your credit. You want to make sure your credit is together too, because they're going to look at that as well. And so it was a few things I needed to fix, and they said, we'll give you a few months to fix this and come back. And I did, and the rest was history.
Latrice, with you learning everything the way that you did, you also are very intentional on wanting to help other people who are trying to start their own businesses. Mm-hmm. So can we talk about that for a second?
Sure. So I started getting asked a lot, you know what, I want to open a childcare center, and I wanted to mentor people. So I said, you know what, I'm going to start the Childcare Chick. I'm going to start this brand and be able to help other women, and particularly that look like me, to be honest, because I didn't see childcare as being a big business when I started. And the ones that were in childcare, they did not look like me.
Right.
So I wanted to go out and help the ladies that look like me to be able to build quality childcare businesses, though, that could be left for their children, that really can create wealth. And so that's when I started my mentorship program in the Childcare Chick. So I help people all over, not just in Texas, all over. I travel and mentor women, and sometimes men. Men reach out now too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's men in the childcare industry too. And I mentor them on how to not just open, but how to operate quality programs and sustain them and make money while doing it. A lot of people don't really look at childcare as a business.
It is such a business. Let me tell you, my friend Jasmine, who she comes up here and co-hosts a lot, but she has a 2-year-old, right? So she's learning how expensive it is, but how important it also is. Just even for me, going with her to some places, we went into some places to go look at the facilities and trying to figure out, like, where is my child going to be comfortable? Yes. And then when she first started dropping her off, her daughter would go crazy crying and not wanting to leave. Yeah. But that's a terrible feeling. But what a good feeling for her is when her daughter doesn't cry. Yep. And when she gets excited to get out of the car and go inside, because the parents feel really bad, like if they have to leave their kid.
Too.
Yeah. So and so for me, witnessing her, like right now, currently going through that journey of making sure you find the right place. It's nice when places have cameras too, so that you can make sure if you want to like look in the classroom and make sure, because you always want to make sure. Sometimes when kids are young too, they can't speak and tell you what's happening
and what's going on. That is so important.
And that's a huge challenge right now because, I want to talk about pivoting, and you're saying sustaining your business. A lot's changed since the pandemic.
Oh, yes.
Children have changed. I actually have a friend who, she's a classroom specialist, so kids who have special needs, she'll go to class with them and help them in class. And she was telling me how we used to start learning things in kindergarten and first grade. She's like, that doesn't start till like second, third grade now.
Yeah, it's tough.
Because these kids were born, the first thing they were taught was to be afraid of other people and other kids. So their whole social development is so far behind, and you're already starting to see it. They're saying American students, their English, all of their academics are plummeting and stuff. And a lot of it is because of this delayed social, psychological development they're still experiencing because of COVID. You must have had to really address that with staffing.
We did. So when COVID hit, we had to pivot the whole entire business, because you think when COVID hit, the whole world shut down. Yeah. The schools closed. But guess who was open?
And people could work virtually too.
But we were still open. While everybody closed, childcare was still open.
It's essential.
So we are essential. The doctors had to work, the lawyers had to work, the nurses had to work, the grocery store workers, and the schools were closed. So we did stay open during the pandemic, but we saw, we did, drop children, had to stay home, virtual learning, parents working from home. And so we did lose some enrollment, but parents quickly realized you can't work from home with a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
How can
Or
I
a
work?
15-year-old.
Right. You can't work from home with children. So they quickly brought them back.
Yeah.
But like you said, they were taught at home, don't get close to people. Don't, because this is COVID, don't go around people. And so the social skills that we see now, the social and emotional development of the children, it's a lot. It's a lot in childcare now. We're seeing it with that 3 to 4-year-old age. We're seeing a lot of them they have a lot of speech delays. Because when you're at home, who are they talking to? Most of them probably were on their tablet
of delayed speech
and
all
doing
that,
things like that while you're at home. So it was no one to talk to. It was no one to play with. If you're the only child, you're at home for 6 months to a year. So that part, they're really struggling. So I had to get my staff more training. We bring, different people in to train my staff on how to deal with this. We're seeing autism a lot more. We're seeing all these things, but the staff didn't know how to deal with this. So bringing people in, we have speech language pathologists that come in. We do a lot of training on social and emotional development, so they are able to work with the children to try to get them back up to speed before they get to kindergarten or if they go off to pre-K programs. So we did have to do a lot of pivoting in that area.
And how has technology impacted what you do? A lot of these kids, they know how to use the iPads. They know how to use it better than we do.
Yeah.
So
that's all they want to do.
Yeah.
That's all they want to
tough
do.
too,
That is very tough. That is very tough. And then
Hard.
with licensing, they had to put stipulations on the technology because of that. So they only get 1 hour of screen time per day is the max that you can use. So in school, they know we have a little screen time, but it's always educational. But we just have to stay away from it, and the children are fine. They know it's children that come in with their tablets, and as soon as their mom drop them off, they hand them the tablet because they know they can't have it.
They don't do that at home.
They know they can't have it at school, and so we do our best to stay away from that because licensing doesn't even allow it.
And now let's discuss franchising as a business model, because that's something that's fascinating to me. So can you talk to me about your whole idea about franchising and opening more centers?
Sure. So people always think that because I have this large, successful location that I want to own 20 of them. And I personally do not want to own 20 Kidsvilles, but I also want to give other people the opportunity to use my blueprint to win in this industry. So that's when I decided to say, you know what? I'm going to franchise. I'm going to franchise and be able to, so people don't have to start where I started. It's already given to them. The blueprint is laid out for them. The name is already there. I've already built the business up, and they can come in and be successful and still provide that quality care and still win in this industry. So for me, that's the next step into having more locations. I would love to see them all over and just kind of go in there and put my stamp on it. But that's another stream of income that I don't actually have to be there. I have so many other avenues and ways that I make money and different business ventures that I don't want to be tied to having to be in my center.
Right.
And so the one that I have now runs like clockwork without me. People think that I'm in my center all day and I'm driving the bus and I'm cooking and I'm in the classroom teaching and it's far from that. Now, have I done my fair share of that when I first opened? Absolutely. But now I have, set my business up to where I don't even have to step foot in it. And it's times that I don't. I already told the month of December, don't look for me, right? But when you set your business up right, you can do that and you can still make a lot of money and impact. That's big for me. So even though the childcare industry, I'm making money.
$65 billion industry.
And people do not know that. And I'm going to be honest.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. And I'm going to be honest, when I first started, I didn't know that the industry was this big. Again, I was a mom just looking for someone for a son. I didn't go in it with the mindset, oh my God, this is $1 billion industry. I'm about to make all this money. That wasn't my mindset. But now that I know better, I teach other people. Like, you're getting into something that is always going to be here.
Yeah.
Always going to be here.
Unless people stop having kids,
Always going to be here. And as long as you're running a great program and you are in the right area and you can market, you can really make a huge impact, because I'm big on impact, but you can also make money and really create wealth for your family.
And it's been 16 years, so I'm sure you've seen some of those kids that started off.
Oh my God,
coming
that's
to
my
Kidsville,
favorite
grow
part.
up and come back to you.
That's my favorite part. I have kids that work for me now that used to go
That's
there.
amazing.
I have children that come and drop their kids off, but they used to go there. Grandparents, they're now grandparents, but they used to be moms, bringing their grandchildren there. So I'm really big on building relationships in my community. And so a lot of my business has been referral based. People will say, go to Kidsville. I know them, great people. They've been in the community a long time. So I really have built my business on really building relationships in my community. And so I get all those repeat customers all the time. They send in their coworkers, their grandchildren, their children. I get invited to college graduations now. And it just makes me feel really good that I've been able to sustain that long, because I've seen so many that they don't make it.
Right.
They don't make it.
How can people learn about your entrepreneurial skills and get mentored from you?
Okay, so I have a community. I have a community called the Childcare Clique. I started that community because when I started in the childcare industry, again, I told you I had no mentorship, no one I could call. I just figured it out, made a lot of mistakes. And I wanted people that wanted to get in this industry to not have to make all those mistakes. So I started this community, and right now we have hundreds of women in this community where we have monthly classes on all kind of topics, mentorship, we have events, we have meetups, and just a community of women where you can come to when you need some assistance, or you're going through something in your program. I can't call my friend and tell her what I'm going through. She doesn't know what I'm going through in childcare, but they can come in this community and get mentorship. And then that trickled over into my conference, my Born to Teach conference that I'm having next July, which is going to be the biggest ECE, which is Early Childhood Education Conference, for directors, owners, teachers, curriculum coordinators, anyone in this industry that will be able to come and just learn, get strategies, and just have that network.
Want to check it out.
Yep, want to check it out. And so I have that coming up in July, so people could attend there. And I also have mentorship programs. If you need that more one-on-one, where you don't necessarily say, hey, I love the community, but I need one-on-one,
Right.
I have that option available, and I do a lot of one-on-one mentoring. I travel to their centers, wherever they are, other states. They travel to me. So I have those options available too.
And that, I want to tell everybody, it's the childcarechick.com.
www.thechildcarechick.com. You can find out about
CHIC, right?
CHIC. Yeah,
Right.
that
We
is
help
just
with
no
spelling
K.
lessons
No
every
K.
week.
Okay, no K. And then you can find out about the community there. You can find out about Born to Teach there. You can follow me on social media. I have borntoteach.com, the Childcare Clique, and the Childcare Chick.
You are such an incredible success story
love
of an
it.
entrepreneur.
Thank you.
Give me some general advice for entrepreneurs.
So the first advice, and I say this sounds so cliche.
It's okay to
but
cry. No,
believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. I see so
You
many
say that a
entrepreneurs
lot.
because they
But what's
don't
it
believe
mean in real
People do
time?
not believe they can do it. People say, "Oh, I want to be successful. I want to do this." But do you really believe you can do it? No, I don't think I can do that. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
I tell people I'm regular. I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. No one in my family was an entrepreneur, but I believed in myself and nothing was going to stop me. I knew that I can do it. It's a mindset thing. People have to change their mindset to know whatever I put my mind to, I can have it.
Yeah.
And I'm so serious about it. Like I said, it sounds cliche, but
No,
is.
it's
And
true.
you can cry
Sometimes
too.
yeah.
You're going to cry.
And
in
you can
business.
cry. It's
You can
okay.
cry. You cry, but you get back up and dust yourself off in business.
Because
I tell
sometimes we
people that
talk
too.
ourselves down. We talk
Yes.
ourselves
Yeah.
out of things. We come up with
Yes.
excuses of why this
you
can't
can't do
work.
it.
This won't work. Well, if I try this can't happen. Instead of saying, okay, how can I find a way? And also mentorship. That helps
That's
you
so
also
important.
believe in yourself.
That's so
even more to
important.
know that you can do something. If you can get some type of mentorship from somebody who's been there, who's done it,
Been there,
who
done
has some sort of blueprint for you to follow.
I agree. But no, and you can cry and
Yeah.
get you a mentor.
It's
A mentor
okay.
will help you get there. I always say a mentor will help you from making all the mistakes that they made, because you get a mentor that's already been there. And I tell people all the time, in 16 years, it's nothing I haven't seen in childcare. And it's not just good all the time. It's been some moments.
sure.
I done cried in the car a lot of times before, but I come back and I do it. I always say it's no quitting. So, pick myself back up and figure out how I'm going to fix it and keep moving.
All right.
I
Well,
got
that was
all that.
amazing, inspiring. I love it. Wealth Wednesday. This is why we love a Wednesday. But again, what's the website?
It's www.thechildcarechick.com.
No K.
No K on it.
On
So
chick. No
no
K
K
on
on it.
chick.
And I just want to let everybody know that, again, this is one of those industries that you can get in and it's not going anywhere. And again, for me, you can make a big impact on your community as well as make a lot of money in this industry. And if you do it right, you can be very successful. In
And
this
very
industry.
rewarding.
It's
It has to
very
be a rewarding
It is, I'm
feeling.
telling
It's
you.
the type of job you can't do if you don't really love children.
And that's what I tell people too. Don't get in it for the money.
Yeah.
The money will come. You can't just start for the money, you know, because you do have to love what you do, and you have to have a passion for children. Even though I'm not in the classroom, I love what I do. When I walk in my center and see those smiles and those hugs, it just makes my day and warms my heart. So it is very rewarding.
We're going to put all your information in our entrepreneurs group. That's Wealth Wednesdays for Entrepreneurs. It's a free Facebook group. Everybody join it. You'll get all this. Another one of our Wealth Wednesdays offerings, we have Wealth Wednesdays After Party with Jay White. And this week we are having the best of Wealth Wednesdays after parties, where you're going to see favorite moments from interviews with everyone from our Angela to Rick Ross and some of the other people he's interviewed over the last year that you all love. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. And now I hope we get some quality child care centers all over.
I love it. It's very necessary.
It's very necessary, yes.
All right.
All right.
Way up.